What's going on, you guys? Welcome back to my channel. Just kidding. Hold on. What's going on, you guys? Welcome back to my channel. Hello. Hi, my name's Alicia, for those of you who have not been here before. If you have been here before, welcome back to my channel. In today's video, I thought I would take you through prepping my plants for the fall/winter. It's time to start getting my plants ready for the temperatures dropping and cutting back some of their leaves, changing their watering routines, increasing the humidity, all those kinds of things, so that they are prepared to stay alive throughout the winter. And they won't grow as much, just because plants tend to not grow as much during the colder months, but at least they'll stay alive, still be slowly growing, but will not die off. If this video is something that you're interested in or you want more of, leave me a comment down below. If you like this kind of video, if you like this kind of content, please be sure to give this video a thumbs up. And then of course, subscribe to my channel, turn on the notification bell so you don't miss a video. And yeah, I guess it's time to start with the plants. So I do want to say, first things first, I do have a humidifier. So this is my humidifier. I believe I got it on Amazon about a year ago. And it's got 3 different settings. So if I were to run it right now, you'll see it start steaming, but it's got 3 different settings: low, high, medium. And then it's got a timer so that I can have it run for 1 hour, 2 hours, 3 hours, whatever. And it also tells me the relative humidity in the room. So I rely on this a lot during the colder months and also during the summer, just to make sure that the humidity in my plant room is good to go. But it's really, really good for the winter. I am not someone who is a fan of misting the plants. First of all, I think that's a lot of work. Second of all, I think it actually encourages pests and other things like that, or like mold on the leaves or things like that, rather than just increasing the humidity and fueling your plants, if that makes sense. So it's something that I don't do personally. I know a lot of people do, or they'll do, for example, rocks underneath the tray and then put water on the tray so that it increases the relative humidity. I just find that investing in a humidifier works better, and I can move it throughout the room, so I can have one section of my plant room getting an increased humidity. Usually this room isn't that big, so usually it'll increase the whole room, but I will move it around periodically. But all that being said, this is like the holy grail for the winter months, because it's gonna get cold, it's gonna get dry, and I highly, highly recommend. If I can find it, I will link it in the description below, so that you guys can also purchase one or find a similar one. But I really, really like this one. All right, so the next thing I'm gonna do is I'm going to go through this plant area and I'm going to start cutting off all the dead leaves. I have quite a few leaves that need to be pruned. There's no sense in keeping them. Some people believe that they're still giving the plant energy. I think that can be true, but for the most part, anything that's mostly brown, mostly yellow, I'm going to cut off, just because it's getting colder. And essentially, I just don't want the plant to be putting out effort to those leaves when those leaves are dying anyways. It's going to be trying to put out more effort and trying to grow, but not having the conditions it needs, like the strong sunlight, or it's not going to be being watered as much because it is the winter months and you don't want to overwater them. So I'm going to cut back on any dying leaves, yellow leaves. I'm also going to be inspecting for pests. I am like praying that I don't have any pests in this room, because I have tons of plants in here and that would be an issue. If I were to find any pests in this room, I would take the plant immediately to my quarantine room, which is just in one of the other bedrooms, and basically quarantine it until I can get rid of all those pests. I just recently found spider mites in a plant that I bought probably 2 or 3 months ago, and I'm so glad I did not introduce it into here. I kept it in the quarantine room, and so when I was checking them out the other day, I found it and I was like, oh, thank God I did not introduce it, because that could have started a whole mess within all these plants. So that's the plan. Another thing, just while I remember it, do not fertilize your plants during the winter/fall months. I think you can do it a little bit late going into the fall, but don't fertilize your plant in the winter, because that's it can create a lot of damage with the plant, and they don't need to be fed as much, just like they don't need to be watered as much, so you don't want to overdo it and kill the plant or hurt the plant. Now it's time to get started after I just rambled on for so long. So let's start pruning some plants. Okay, so the first plant that this huge leaf is like right in front of me. Okay. So this first plant is an arrowhead plant, and you can see she's got a lot of dead foliage. So honestly, usually I use like just a pair of regular scissors that I keep in here so they're not anywhere else in my house, and I'm not gonna use them on anything else except plants. I'm gonna have to vacuum my floor, but I can just, for the most part, a lot of the dead ones I can pull off. Some of them I will probably have to cut. I don't see anything that would tell me there's like a pest issue with this plant. I honestly think I just haven't pruned this plant in a really long time. So, and most of these are lower leaves, so that makes a lot of sense. So you can see in here, hopefully you can see it, but there's new growth still coming in, and this plant is growing everywhere. So I'm not worried about the health of the plant at all. I just think she could use a bit of assistance. I'm kind of, I wouldn't say I'm heavy-handed when it comes to cutting back plants, but if I notice that there's yellowing, or mostly like, see, this leaf right here is yellow. It's still a little bit green, but it's mostly yellow. I'm just gonna go ahead and cut it because there's no indication that there's anything wrong with the plant, and it's still growing upwards. So I'm not really concerned about it. There is, okay, all right. Oh no! I cut a new leaf. Oh, that's so sad. Oh, that makes me sad. And I can't grow it back because it's not a node. I messed up. That will happen if you're acting too trigger happy, like myself. So anyways, here's this plant. She looks so much better. Cut back a lot. Yeah, I'm content. I'm happy with her. So next, I'm gonna trim up this Birkin. So you can see she's got some dying leaves up here. I'm not really sure why. This is like the only white leaf I have, or striated leaf, that isn't dying. For some reason, all of these leaves are dying, and I can't quite figure out why. But I'm going to peel back a lot of this dead foliage that's from dead leaves. I am gonna go ahead and cut this off. She's not doing anything. As much as I want to keep the foliage, it's not working out. There's a new white one coming in, so I'm not as concerned, but I'm not really sure. It seems like almost like it's rotting, but I don't know why. Like, these leaves are all fine, but the white ones for some reason are rotting. I will need to look that up because I don't want to obviously grow my plants in a like thing where they're not happy or they can't grow. Ooh, I'm sorry. I hate to do that. Okay, let's see how that does. Hopefully that does a little better. This one is gonna die. This one I'm gonna cut off as well, just because she's dying anyway, so what's the point in keeping the rot there? And then we shall see how she turns out. I will update you. So this is my Trio Star. I just watered her, so I'm gonna go ahead and just, oh, not that. Just gonna cut these dead ones. I was gonna try to pull them out, but I don't think they're ready to go yet. Just those ones. Orbophilia, something like that. I'm going to pluck all the dead foliage from here. Okay, so what I'm gonna do for this one, because this tip looks kind of burnt, is I'm actually just gonna cut off the tip. I'm pretty sure this is a dying leaf. It's a pretty low leaf, but I'm just gonna cut it off so that the plant's not working too hard. Eventually the leaf is gonna die anyways, but we've got a little bit of evidence of new growth and the leaves keep getting bigger, so I'm not concerned about necessarily the health of the plant. I feel like the rest of this is pretty self-explanatory, so I'm just gonna speed through cutting a bunch of these plants and then catch up with you guys in a little bit. I want to just pause and take a moment to say my peace lily is flowering in the fall. This is huge because usually it's really incredibly hard to get a peace lily to flower outside of nursery conditions. So I'm super proud of this. This actually has a really significant meaning to me. So it's just something I'm super proud of and super happy about. And I've gotten both my peace lilies to flowers, so yeah, I just wanted to share that. All right, so for the most part, I think I've pruned everything that I wanted to prune. I'm not seeing many dying leaves right now in this general area. So I think these plants for the most part on this side of the room are actually doing pretty well. So the next thing I'm gonna do is neem oil everything, spray it all down. It's gonna smell like onions in here a little bit, but that's okay. And that's gonna help. It's a pest preventer, so it helps with the plant not attracting any pests and not keeping any pests. I also keep a catchy in here, which is also from Amazon. So this is the catchy. It attracts and catches all flying bugs. So I use that, especially if you have something like fungus gnats or any kind of flying pests. I highly recommend those. As well as I have the sticky traps everywhere that you guys have already seen, the yellow ones. So I keep those in most of the plants, if not every other plant, if not every plant. But it is time to neem oil and treat these plants so that they are good to go. And I would say during the summertime, you should probably do this once a week. During the winter time, I would recommend doing it once every 10 to 15 days. So I would say once every 2-ish weeks. It really just depends on the humidity of your room, the condition of your plants, whether or not you have pests already, all of those factors it depends on. So you kind of have to be the best judge of character and decide. With watering, I would cut back to once every 2 weeks for most plants unless they are really thirsty. So my huge birds of paradise plants, I probably will still water once every 10 days or so. But a lot of the other plants like snake plants, my Monstera, pothos, I will probably cut most of those back to once every 2 weeks. Snake plants probably once every 3 weeks. So it really just depends. Whatever plant you have, look up the type of plant and see how often you should be watering it in the winter months. That is the #1 way to kill your plant is overwatering, and people tend to think that the plant needs water every week. First of all, that's not true unless you are in a very, very thirsty climate or it's a very, very thirsty plant. Get a moisture reader. These things will save you. Use them, put them in the plant all the way down to the bottom of the soil. If it's dry, water the plant. If it is anywhere between 4 and 1, that's like dry. That is dry on here. If it's anywhere between 7 and 4, be cautious. That means it's moist, but it's not necessarily thirsty unless you just know it's a very thirsty plant. If it's wet, stop watering the plant. Let it dry out. You are going to get, you can get like mold, you can get bacteria, you can get pests, you can overwater the plant, kill the plant. There's so many things that can go wrong. You'll start to smell like a nasty, funky smell, and that is not good. That means the plant is overwatered, and you are going to have to toss out all of that soil and then repot the plant in months where it does not want to be repotted. That brings me to another point. No repotting. during the winter months. It's not necessary. You don't need to do it. It's actually gonna cause your plant more stress. Don't do it. I'm jumping all around this video, but I'm just thinking of things as they come up. This is gonna suck to edit because I know I've spent so much time talking, but I'm pretty passionate about this. I'm going to neem spray now. Let's go. Y'all, I literally just made it to the end of this. Woo! We did it. All right, let's catch up. Let's catch up. Okay, so we have now made it to the end of the video. I took you through a bunch of steps that I'm doing to prep my plants. The number one thing, stop overwatering your plants. Check out what the plant is, look it up, like specifically look up what the plant is. Not all calatheas, not all pothos, not all monsteras, whatever. Maybe with monsteras, but that's beside the point. But look up your specific plant and see what the recommendations are for watering. It really just depends on the type of plant. Some plants will be fine. They're kind of hardy and sturdy and they're gonna be okay. But it is completely possible to overwater the plant. So that's my number one tip, is cut back on the watering a lot and buy a moisture meter and check. If the plant is dry, then water it. Otherwise, leave it alone. Number two, neem oil your plants. So you can buy it in like the concentrated portion and spray your plants, I would say once every 2 weeks. During the summer, you typically should do it a little bit more, but with the winter time, I would say do it once every 2 weeks, maybe even once every 3 weeks. It really just depends on your situation in your house, whether or not you already have pests, all those kinds of things. Number three, buy a humidifier and use that because it is worth the investment. It may be a little bit of money up front, but it is totally worth the investment to keep the humidity increased around your plants. It is so much easier than going through and spraying or doing whatever you're gonna do to the plants. And it just works a lot better. It tells you, especially if you buy one that's pretty good quality, it will tell you the relative humidity in the room. You can put it on different settings. You can use it as you can use the timer function is what I'm trying to say. And it makes a whole big difference and it is so worth it. Number four, you should be pruning your plants, so cut back on all the dead leaves. If you really just love it and you don't want to get rid of it, that's fine, that's on you, but I would highly suggest not making the plant work harder than it needs to and cutting all the dead leaves. Number five, do not repot the plant. Do not repot the plant. The plant can wait. If you think the plant's like suffocating, it's got to be pretty dire for me personally to repot the plant. Like, it's got to be clear that the plant is suffering because it's not in a bigger pot. But during the winter months, I would not repot the plants. I'm even hesitant to pot up my cuttings. I know I need to and I know I should because after a certain point, they just don't really thrive in water anymore. But I'm just not a repotter during the winter months, so I do not recommend that you do it. If there was a tip that I gave you throughout this video that I forgot about, I will probably point it out here somewhere in text. But I think those are the top 5 tips that I gave you and that I go by. I hope you guys found this video informational and helpful. Again, if you like this kind of content, if you like this video, please be sure to give this video a thumbs up. If you have any extra tips for taking care of your plants during the cold months, leave a comment down below, let me know, and subscribe. And hit the notification bell so you don't miss a video. Okay, yay! I hope you guys love this. Okay, I'll see you guys next time. Bye!